The engagement had been everything I thought I wanted. Years of dating, late-night conversations, shared dreams, and the excitement of planning a future together. I trusted her completely, or at least, I thought I did. But that night at the party changed everything. It was a friend's celebration, a big event with everyone we knew. I had dressed carefully, rehearsed small talk, and even complimented her dress earlier, genuinely excited for the evening. But as soon as we arrived, I sensed the tension. She moved with an ease that I didn't feel, laughing a little too loudly, leaning into people in a way that made me uncomfortable. We mingled for a while, until the moment came. Someone mentioned my job, something simple, harmless. I gave a modest answer, trying to keep the conversation light, and then she spoke, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Oh, that's why he's always so boring. I mean, who even cares about his little office job?" The room went silent for a heartbeat. I felt my face flush, a mix of humiliation, shock, and disbelief washing over me. People I respected were staring. My friends, my colleagues, the people who had been part of my life, they were all witnessing me being ridiculed. I opened my mouth to respond, to defend myself, but stopped. Why should I? The betrayal wasn't just in the words, it was in the intent, the casual cruelty behind them, the way she seemed to relish my embarrassment. Every second I stayed silent, I felt her dominance, her disregard for my dignity, and a gnawing realization began to form. This wasn't love. This wasn't respect. This was a woman who enjoyed proving she could hurt me in front of others. I spent the rest of the evening in quiet, careful observation. Every laugh, every inside joke she shared with other people, every subtle glance toward someone else, it added pieces to a picture I didn't want to see, but couldn't ignore. The engagement I had thought was a commitment to love and partnership was, it seemed, a platform for humiliation and control. When we finally left, I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply drove home, silent, letting the car fill with the heavy weight of realization. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I had made a decision. Not in anger, not impulsively, but with quiet clarity. The next day, I called her. She answered cheerfully, oblivious to the storm brewing in my mind. I didn't waste time with explanations, just simple, measured words. This engagement is over. There was a pause on the other end, followed by disbelief, protests, attempts to charm, to explain, to apologize. But I stayed silent, calm, unyielding. I had seen the truth at that party, and there was no coming back from it. I refused to remain engaged to someone who took pleasure in my humiliation, who disrespected me publicly, and who had shown me that her love was conditional, performative, and shallow. Breaking the engagement wasn't easy. Friends and family asked questions, tried to mediate, and some even suggested reconciliation. But I had learned something important that night. Respect and love are inseparable. Without one, the other is meaningless. And if someone shows you who they are when it matters, the right choice is often the hardest but most necessary one. Months later, I look back on that night with clarity. She humiliated me publicly, and yes, it hurt. But the real gift of that pain was insight. It revealed her true character, her lack of empathy, and her disregard for the people who cared about her partner. And because I stayed silent, because I acted with calm and clarity rather than drama, I retained my dignity and reclaimed my life. I didn't need to make a scene at that party. I didn't need to argue in front of everyone. Silence, observation, and decisive action were more powerful than any public confrontation could ever be. The engagement ended, yes, but I emerged stronger, more self-aware, and far more discerning about the people I allow into my life. Betrayal comes in many forms: infidelity, lies, emotional neglect. But sometimes it's as subtle as humiliation, the deliberate erosion of your dignity in front of others. And the response isn't always confrontation. It's clarity, silence, and decisive action. Walking away from a person who disrespects you publicly is not weakness, it's strength. That night at that party, I learned more about her than I ever wanted to know. But I also learned about myself, my limits, my self-respect, and my willingness to act on what I know is right. And that, more than anything, has guided me ever since.